Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Growth Circuit, which is powered by Petion AI Solutions. This podcast was created for founders and future entrepreneurs to talk about what has gone well for them, but also what they look for when they're hiring people, or if you're in the tech industry, what's going on with IT churn. I want to say for anyone that's looking to start their own company, younger entrepreneurs, or even young adults, if you're looking to get an edge, this podcast is here for you as we're tapping into some of the elite leaders in their companies as well as high-level executives. Once again, I want to say thank you and welcome to the Growth Circuit, again powered by Petion AI Solutions. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Growth Circuit podcast, where I'm your host, Jeff Petion, and today I have someone truly special today. She loves to travel. I can tell you that she's if I've seen it right, she's been over 117 countries. And has an app that actually is pretty cool, and especially if you're looking to travel, I think this should be your first thing to do before traveling because it gives you some good tips. I have Miss Sally Bunnell, who is the owner of NaviSavi. How you doing, Miss Sally?
Oh, hey, Jeff. I'm doing great today, I'm feeling the cozy fallness today. So I've got my little cup of tea. I'm currently in the UK and feeling very, the holiday movie, although I don't see any Jude Law around.
No, trust me, I completely understand, and I love these times, especially when the trees start changing color, and it starts getting a little fresh. I'm not a big fan of the cold, but it starts getting a little too fresh. If I'm not mistaken, it's pretty cold in UK right now, right?
It's not as bad as the US. I mean, I've lived in
Wow.
Nebraska, New York,
Yeah.
City. That's wind, snow, cold. It's more of a damp cold here. People thought it was absolutely freezing the other day, and it was, I think, 10 degrees, but that's Celsius. So that's still only, 40s. So
Yeah, that's
it's like 30s, so we're doing okay here.
no, that's good. Yeah, see, for some reason I thought it was at least like 20s or 10. When you said 10 degrees, I'm like, wait a minute, no, that's not,
Yeah.
that's
I
not.
clarified that to everybody of exactly what that, as Celsius, what that exactly converts to. It's probably 30s of some sort, but
Yeah.
that's cold snap around. I haven't seen, we maybe get a light dusting of snow come January, but nothing too much. So, but yeah,
Oh,
it's
that's awesome.
nice to spend the holidays in kind of these cities and then be able to go home and family. And so it's kind of nice to have
Yeah.
that transition a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I know from for you, especially, I guess your family's back in Nebraska.
Yes, yes. So I'm
Oof.
born and raised in a town of 700 people. My dad is the beekeeper. I was the rodeo queen of the county. It's like I'm beekeeper's daughter. Is that hometown right there? So it's
That is
easier
awesome.
for me to fly from New York to London than it is New York to get to my parents' house in Nebraska.
No, I believe it. I'm guessing you probably have to travel to go to the airport.
Oh
Wait.
yes. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. The nearest international is Denver, which is 5 hour drive
Oh,
from where
wow.
you can
Wow.
catch a puddle jumper out there, but it's not always reliable. They make
Yeah.
speeding trips
No.
to Denver.
Wow, awesome. Okay, Miss Sally. Now let's before we go, dive a little bit deeper, tell us a bit about your background and what led you to start NaviSat.
Yeah, well, as I was saying, I'm from a small town in Nebraska, so running a travel tech company was never part of the plan. It all kind of, culminated. I've always had this passion to travel. I'd never been on an airplane until my 20s. And from there, I'd always kind of been this obsession with like music and television. So those all kind of culminated. A disc jockey at a local radio station in Nebraska when I was 16. Went on then to get 2 degrees, one in broadcast journalism and one in marketing at the University of Nebraska. And then I got accepted into the Late Show with David Letterman internship in New York. So then I
Wow.
was really in TV and music and seeing, all these celebrities and influential people from all over the world. And at that point, then I moved over to a record label where I started working and traveling nonstop for music videos, commercials, you name it. So after that, I had, to date, I've now actually been to 124 countries, but I was traveling all
Wow.
over the world. I was shooting, creating short form video content before the iPhone could even was out and shot that, and kind of documenting these small stories with like the old hand cam pieces that you had to use.
Yeah.
And people would see I'm traveling all over the world and they say, "How do I go do what you did? How do I copy your vacation?" And so that was really where NaviSavi started. And that was around 2013. As
Awesome.
I said, I was almost too ahead of my time at that time. So that was kind of where everything started. And I created what I thought was the first, bookable travel TV show where you could watch an
Yeah.
episode, interact, book it, and go and have a recipe for a vacation. Excuse
Yeah.
me. So that was really kind of where everything started. And that was in 2013. I tried shopping it for 3 years, but I wasn't Instagram famous. There was not
Yeah.
Facebook or Instagram Reels at this point, really. And travel had not adopted to video outside of very promo, professional,
Yeah.
a aerial view of a beach. And, it's, things that don't really exist in travel at all. You rarely get those
Yeah.
great moments. But um, so that was really kind of the start. And in 2017, I realized, I'm going to have to actually build out the platform. They said, do you have a partnership with Expedia? And I said, not
Mhm.
yet, but I'm sure we can make it work. And when we didn't, I said, well, I'm going to have to go build this darn thing on my own. So the record label gotten bought out at that time. And so I was kind of had some free time and was figuring out what's next. And so I was like, I'm going to start exploring what it might look like to be a a tech or a platform or
Yeah.
I had no idea. I knew nothing about startup world. I knew nothing about technology. I just knew how to make people look really good on camera in music videos and I worked as one of the heads of Kids Bop and took them out on tour. So I really knew how to make kids dance. So I had all these random skills, but it worked out. And that was kind of in 2017, 18, started kind of moonlighting what's now NaviSavi. And that was really, kind of learning and boot camping myself through that process. That was in New York. And then I finally did some small fundraising for NaviSavi in 2019 with friends and family. And I said, gosh darn it, I'm going to launch this thing in 2020. It was April 1st was the launch date. And about 3 weeks before, the April Fool's joke was on me because COVID hit New York City and
Oh,
everything was shut down and travel was shut down. So I took that time to really think about the product and really populate the product with video content because all these travelers and influencers weren't traveling. They're sitting on content. And I said, I'll pay you $1 for every video you upload to our platform. So that's what really
oh,
started, in 2021 when we officially
yeah.
launched on the App Store. What really started to get, people putting content on the app and sharing their
Yeah.
recommendations from places they'd been previous for when travel would reopen. So that was kind of, the first product in the market in 2021. And then it's been a very long struggle to, nobody wants to fund travel during that time for the next 4 years.
Yeah.
And, and there was a lot shaking and changing in the industry as well. So that was really kind of a big piece for us. Here I am at that point, 2022, I'm basically running out of fundraising. I then get approached by out of the blue on LinkedIn from Meta. And Meta, I'm like, is
Wow.
this a prank call? Like what? Linked me like out of nowhere. And they said they discovered NaviSavi and they were launching this new feature called Facebook Reels and they needed native video content. They didn't want stuff coming over from TikTok populating.
Yeah.
So we then distributed all of our video content we populated Facebook Reels travel section, which was pretty amazing. And they even gave us an attribution link so we could see, putting direct booking links. We were probably one of the first people to ever put a direct booking link into Facebook from
Awesome.
video content. So that's kind of where it all started. We then in 2023 we're fortunate enough to get chosen by Techstars as an underrepresented founder. So female
Awesome.
founders only get 2% of all venture capital funding. So that program was designed especially for females, Black and brown founders, you name it.
Mhm.
So it was a great opportunity and really pushed my business forward in the light.
Mhm.
From there, we got a state grant from the state of Nebraska for $100,000 to build out more of
Awesome.
our product. We started making some money, going B2B and licensing video content. And yeah, it kind of been a wild ride. And then we raised about 500,000 last year, integrating AI and really just starting to be on the verge of exploding our product into a full, B2B2C platform for video content, whether that is people uploading videos, it can be brands licensing videos, it can be travelers booking and planning with video content, all in a seamless platform. So we're really starting to see the future of how travel is going to integrate, not just from a traveler's perspective or social commerce, but coming together as you realizing that AI is being going to be a forward planner in travel, but also
Yeah.
voice. And so we're taking video content and complexly putting that content of tagging videos by emotion, serving up by emotion, like the level of detail you can get from video content is
Yeah.
pretty insane. And so we're trying to lead the front of that for populating the LLMs, which would be a chat GPT or whatever
Yeah.
that is. So now my ultimate goal is for you to talk to chat GPT, tell them what you want, and a video of NaviSavi pops up into chat of that activity with a booking link and it transacts directly through chat. So
That's awesome.
that's what I've been working on for the last 20 years. I was a young lady when I started the project.
No, and it's pretty amazing, just to hear the journey is like from you stating that starting basically in 2013 where you went and someone came up to you and asked you, how can I basically travel like you? And then you started your journey to where 8 years later, you're still going through the journey, but if you taking the hit of COVID, which I think a lot of people took a hit, but I think the travel industry took the biggest hit because that's how you guys make your bread and butter, right? Then
Nobody's
a
going
lot of
anywhere.
people, yeah, exactly. And for you, like I don't think a lot of people understand the level of resilience that you have to have in order for you to make it through those times and still believe that, you know what, this is going to work out and I'm going to push through. And you did exactly that. And now you're integrating new things and just growing, which is awesome because you can
Yep,
say,
I'm still pushing and staying alive. That's how I see it. I'm not made it yet by any means, but
nah,
as a founder, every day is a struggle.
yeah,
But you can't give up when you're that passionate about something and you know that
exactly.
there's
And
a thread of hope and something's going to work.
yeah. And I know you say you still didn't make it, but for you, I wanted to tell you on the call, you should give yourself a lot more kudos because a lot of people would have gave up. So I love the fact that you did it and you're still pushing because that's the name of the game, right? Is that while other people's can't take punches, how many punches can you take? So you could keep going and do what you have to do. So that's really awesome. That you're doing that and that you're going through it and you're still pushing. I love that. Now, when you think of your company, I know you started off and you said B2B, now transitioning to B2C. Um, are you transitioning to serve consumers more than companies, or is it consumers?
Well, we as a startup, nobody wants to invest in a B2C travel app because your
Yeah.
customer acquisition cost is significant. And they're like, how are you going to compete against Booking.com and TripAdvisor and
Mhm.
all these other major players? So I started out as a B2C app in which people uploaded videos and people could plan and book from that. That was kind of the core ecosystem of NaviSavi. And as you start learning to acquire those customers and then the margins, and so we started looking, we have this incredible library we have over 200,000 videos uploaded by over 5,000 creators on our platform. And businesses is the conferences I'm going to, every travel brand says you need to be on Instagram and TikTok and you need to show user generated content and the influencer world and said, you know what, there's really a need for a lot of these brands. They don't have content creators in every segment of the world, but we have people that have traveled there. So we started kind of this collection of video content. And it wasn't quite like your Shutterstocks where it's like Paris and it says overview of Paris. It's showing you the actual location of restaurants and streets and the
Yeah.
hotels that you could be at. And so it was really going very granular with the content
Mhm.
and making that searchable. So we have it so you can pinpoint a specific cafe within our platform and get that video content and create,
Awesome.
a 10 things to do in Paris, not just,
Yeah.
stock content of Paris. So
And I think that's
that's the drive.
the
Mhm.
yeah, and I was gonna say that's pretty interesting and it's pretty cool because I don't know if you ever seen the videos where it says what you see on Instagram or TikTok and then it says reality of what you're seeing and I yeah, exactly. So it's pretty cool. I think yours, especially yours, because it gives another sense of what they should be seeing on a day-to-day basis at that specific place versus like something that was could have been
Structured.
exactly. This is a actual organic view of what you're gonna see when you get there, and I love that. That is pretty cool.
Exactly. And just take a step back on that. So brands are very much want to see and show their business in a high level light. And when I created NaviSavi, they said, well, I don't want you to create another TripAdvisor that I have to fight off bad videos, bad reviews. And I said, well, that's
Yeah,
not how our platform works. Our
yeah,
platform only exists if somebody recommends it. So they
yeah.
only upload a video of a place they recommend. We're not here to tear small businesses down. And through that process, it was also a learning curve for businesses because brands, as I said, but user generated content, that's peer to peer, first person,
Mhm.
that gets 4 times more click throughs than a brand's professional content. And through the studies, what they're showing, that content then actually transitions into a 30% higher transactional purchase. So utilizing user generated content at
Mhm.
7 to 10 seconds is increasing your understanding of what that experience is and the purchase power. So we're taking that when you go to TikTok or quick or any of the other short form video platforms, their goal is to keep you on the platform. Their goal is to keep your attention, keep it here, keep
Mhm.
it spicy, dicey, music, fun. That is not made to make a transaction or to leave their
Yep.
platform. That's what
Mhm.
businesses are saying they need to be on these platforms. But, what is right for brand awareness and what's right for transactions? And that's where Navi Sabi said, you know what? If we slow things down, this is what those quick cuts do not help you make a purchase. It's not these overviews. It needs to be this, 7 to 10, what feels like almost boring seconds, but that's what leads to sales. And that is the real KPI that people aren't
Mhm.
measuring is
Yeah.
on social media. Nobody's found a way to really show direct sales integration unless it's with a code or, how did they come to you from travel? Because travel is not an
Yeah.
instant purchase like you would
Mhm.
a hairbrush or something that you find
Yeah.
or, a quirky
Mhm.
gimmick that you can get anywhere on TikTok. Travel is a longer term purchase and it's a higher purchase. It's made in different stages. It's not just one hotel, one night or one quick experience or restaurant. So it's kind of a combination of all those. And that's where we found that having that video content to be able to plan and book, that was kind of the disconnect within social and what we could provide is all these videos to pin and save, almost like Pinterest, but you can add to it at different times. You can purchase them. So that's kind of where we went from the B2C, the B2B, and then realizing our B2B content helps their B2C. So and we
Yeah.
decided to, now we can do our own AI, so we'll have our own B2C loop in there too. So we're
That
really
is
kind of
awesome.
an ecosystem of video content. So
Yeah. No, that is awesome and very unique. And I love that you mentioned that because that is true. A lot of companies don't realize that people look for if a company puts an ad, me personally, when a company puts an ad, I look at it as fluff. I'm like, that's fluff. Versus when you have user generated um content, you're looking at it like, okay, this is the reality. This is how it looks. This is the type of experience you're gonna have. Because I can say anytime I travel, I always try to find user content videos that's where I can relate to it so I can see, okay, this is what that
yeah,
yeah, exactly. But no, that is awesome. Now, when you look at your company, when you look at everything you have done, what has been one of the proudest moments or milestones for you so far?
I mean, a couple of them. Last year, I have been preaching and preaching and preaching about this short form video content and travel. Last year, we won Startup of the Year 4 times at different events. And then most recently, I was given an opportunity to give a keynote at the World Travel Market. And I was on that
Wow.
stage a year before pitching in the startup competition, in which I did not win that one, to come be welcomed back and give a keynote on how travel is emotional and how we're tagging videos by emotion and delivering that up in a whole new way for AI and voice query was an opportunity to come up and say, you know what? I may have been a little startup. We didn't get the funding that all of you passed on us on funding. I had to go back and get it from my hometown. The travel industry did not recognize us, thought we were another just video travel something. And it was an opportunity to come back and say, you know, hi, I am here and I'm not going away. Whether you want to fund me or not, there's a way, and I will show you what we're doing on the main stage. And we had an absolute packed house. There was standing room only and a line to get in. So they said it was the biggest crowd they'd had on that stage. So that was kind of my like full coming of like, here I am selling off stock to keep the company funded for the next month, and like that's the reality. Founder is like, crap, we can't make payroll in the next 2 weeks. This money hasn't come in yet from this person. They haven't paid their invoice yet, and it's this and that. And that's like the harsh reality. I called dad. I need to sell stock. What can you do? Pay that bill, and then the next moment, here I am up on stage in front of a packed house of industry experts. It's like,
That is
whew,
awesome.
that's a ride. That's called being a founder. Every day is a
Yeah.
ride. From
And
highs
that
to
that is
low
true.
within the same day.
Yeah, that is
Yep.
true. I think a lot of the newer generation, I would say, like when they look at founders, they look at CEOs or high level executives, and they think that every day is easy, or that they haven't made, they're at top, they haven't made where realistically speaking, or even this is gonna sound bad to say, but even some employees as well, they look at the higher ups and they're like, oh, they haven't made, but they have no idea what you're running through in the back end, trying to figure out how to get payroll, or if the company is behind on cash flow, and it is not the same. So they're trying to come up with a game plan to attack it. But every single day that you go out there, you have to put a smile on, and you never know what's gonna happen. Look, you went through that, and then the next day you're on the stage, talking about something great. So it's pretty cool, the journey of a founder and CEO is like this. It's like waves. I always say that, there's gonna be waves where it's up, there's gonna be waves where it's down, but you just gotta learn how to ride the wave and be able to come up above it.
I'm not a
Is
good
that
surfer. I'm a knee. That's what I realized. I'm more of a paddler on a kneeboard than a surfer. So
you're better
I'm
than
getting
me, Savvy.
along.
I tell you that I don't even think if I see waves I'll be surfing. I'll be in a paraglide just looking down at it. So,
Overhead, but
so,
also I post a lot of video content of like kind of jokes about being a CEO, and it's always what people imagine it's like. It's on these like ritzy glass of champagne on a private jet, and in the real life was like crying in the middle of
yeah.
the night. And
Yeah, because
I
it's
love
tough.
because I'm
It's
stressed.
Yeah, it is tough. You just have to, especially, I think that's I think what you go through in your life as a child, really can how should I say, can make you have that resilience or make you have that backbone to be able to do it, right? And that's one of the biggest things is that you have to be tough. And I'm not saying physically tough. This is more mentally and emotionally tough because that's where it attacks you. It can drain you. It can make you sick. It can really hurt you in a different way. You just have to be able to understand that when times get rough, put your back in the wall so you can just go forward. And that's the biggest thing. But that is awesome. Now, when you look at your company, where would you say is your biggest opportunity or risk when it comes to scaling your go-to market efforts?
I mean, it's twofold on that since we're B2B and B2C. Our biggest, we have a program that we just are launching called Moats. And what that is basically media orchestration of now small businesses can start acquiring user generated content from their customers. So we'll be launching that program. And the B2B opportunity on that is massive on our go to market. And it's all about strategic partnerships. If I
Yeah.
don't have the sales team in place who already has an in that I'm better off to split that revenue 50-50
Mm.
than I am to try and keep all of it and try and do it all myself right now. It's
Yeah.
really just about getting that flywheel going and getting people started on your product. So that's,
Hmm.
I think, one kind of thing from a B2B. And our B2C side, what I've tried to do strategically is loop in our customers as, let's say, gamified, but contributors
Hmm.
as well.
Awesome.
So we want you to come back and contribute video content to
Hmm.
get discounts to travel more. So we want to keep feeding
Mm.
that loop by contributing and being part of our community.
Yeah.
So I think there's a huge community aspect that comes with that, but also going out there to acquire a single customer does cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so what we're trying to use is strategic partnerships again through we're going to be launching one of the first interactive bookable travel shows. It is finally
Oh.
coming full circle with a strategic partner, so that will go into all connected TV. But that's
Hmm.
not me marketing on television. That is already alignment that's coming pre-installed. So things
Awesome.
like that. In the company, we're doing a lot of work with in-flight connectivity. So when
Hmm.
you're flying, you'll be able to see videos of the destination and purchase things to do or make
Wow.
reservations, everything
Yeah.
in flight. So here I'm not paying for that customer on that seat, but I
Yeah.
am getting that customer through a B2B to C
Yeah.
relationship. So I think, being very strategic in how you can spend the least amount of money to get the most eyeballs. And that's
Yeah.
something that we've tried to push because to just go out there and think everybody's going to use your app and then people come back and say, well, this was buggy, especially in the first year, it's like the
Yeah.
app, crashed in this and you want a closed circuit group to be able to test that on and get feedback on. And it's never going to
Yeah.
be perfect. You got to get it out there. But I've always been very forward of like, we are a baby company. This is the
Yeah.
very start of where we can go. Support us
Yeah.
through this. Be part of the community. And those are the people that they were uploading videos in 2020 before the app was even on the App Store. So those people are still with us. Summer's like, no, it was too buggy. We changed a lot in 5 years.
Yeah. And,
So
and it's gonna continue getting better. So and you're gonna find what works, what doesn't work, and as you're finding out what doesn't work, you're already pivoting, making the right decisions. And as I can tell, you're already doing that.
well, and that's probably a big key is, they say fail fast. That's the biggest thing. It's not working, pull it. What can you do differently? What is talking to your customers,
Yeah.
understanding what they want, not what you think they want, and how they use it. And my team is completely remote. We operate all over the world. One of my gals is out of Argentina, a guy out of India. We've got Sweden. We've got Australia. We've got literally a worldwide audience, and
Yeah.
myself as a digital nomad that's constantly somewhere new in the world. But I think, it's talking to people and being out there and traveling yourself and using your product of
Yeah.
what works and doesn't work. So,
Yeah.
you got to know it through and through and the people using it too. So instead of
Yeah.
just building,
Exactly.
building, hope for the
Yeah.
best. So,
Yeah, and I love that you mentioned it every usually I say this on every podcast episode, so I'm sorry fans, you guys are gonna hear it again. If you're gonna do something, do it and truly put your heart into it. But if it's not working, fail fast. And that doesn't mean just fail and just give up. No, that just means fail fast, learn from the mistakes, learn what you could have done better, and attack it. And understand that failing doesn't mean that you actually failed. Fail just means that there was a roadblock, and now you have to understand how to go through that roadblock or find a detour to go around it. So that's the I love that you mentioned that. Now, with your company, I with everything that you're doing right now, if you had a magic wand, and some people ask me for two or three magic wands, it's up to you, but right now you have one magic
one,
wand.
even if I
Does
got one magic wand, I'm happy in this.
so, so if there was one thing in the company right now that is slowing you down or stopping you from scaling or growing from what you want to do, what would that one thing be?
Fundraising, 100%
Mm,
fundraising.
okay.
Fundraising is the most difficult thing, and it's very much um, you're in it or you're not, and it's a lot of old handshake club deals that happen, or and it's unfortunate, and you can see that in a lot of the big cities, and but it's a struggle, and that's probably the biggest thing that why my company is not competing right now with booking.com. My company, is nowhere where we need to be, is because we are as a founder, they want to sit and watch you prove yourself. How much traction can you get? What can you do with the least amount of money that you pay for? They want founders right now to basically go out and fund their companies on their own.
Yeah.
And so a piece that I give is build the simplest product for the cheapest that you
Mhm.
can, just to show any little movement, traction. And then, because right now, most of these companies, I mean, they won't, your friends and family are your best first checks that are coming in. And how do you
Yeah.
use that money? How do you use it wisely? What
Hmm.
can you do? My first year, I hired about 20 interns. I had an army of interns. So I got heads of each department that were actually kids that were getting their masters, and they had another
Hmm.
5 interns underneath of them. And they did all the work. I could pay them, a little less salary than I would actual full-time hires, but that is how I started NaviSavi. It was like trying to get people and movement and do the
Yeah.
best that we could. So those are the kind of like keys to, get you that initial traction, because it's
Yeah.
it's a dog eat dog world out there. You might even see an AI bubble here pop soon of, I've got this idea for an AI company, and they give you 20 million. Those
Yeah.
those days they come to crash, and then everybody's scared again, and it's difficult out there. It really is. And I think that's
Yeah.
looking at the opportunities that are out there for government grants, whether that is a friends and family. I really leaned on the state of Nebraska, and they did an excellent
Mhm.
job of supporting,
Awesome.
young founders within
Yeah.
the ecosystem. So finding those resources and small
Mhm.
angel groups that are willing to give you that chance, but you can't just go in with, you've got to show some traction. What can you build for dirt cheap,
Yeah.
and never give up? Like that's what they say. They're like, Sally, you are truly a New York cockroach. Like they just won't kill you. You ought to just keep. I'm here still. Can't get rid of me.
Trust me, I know those
Maybe
New York
hopefully they'll
cockroaches.
never
They just
see a cockroach.
they can't- that's a good one. I love it.
Exactly.
No, but yeah, especially now, I think funding is it is tough. It is there. It's just like you said, you have to show whenever you're front, and this is for everyone that's listening, whenever you're starting a company, you can't just go and ask for money because they need to know the company, but also who is getting the fundraising. Like, what is this person going to do with it? Can they actually make something out of it? Because now you're not just asking them to invest in your company, you're asking them to invest in you. So you want to make sure
That's what
that you
the check is. They're investing in you
exactly.
as a hustler,
Yep.
not as your idea. It might be a good idea, but it is the drive and the energy behind you as the person and the founder of, can they get this done? And
Exactly.
that's definitely, you're 100% right on that. They're
Yeah.
investing in you. And in second, and I've even had and seen a lot of times, it might not be your first idea fail, but they'll back you on the second, because they're like, you learned everything on the first one, but we know
Yep.
your drive and your energy and your will to not give up. And the other thing I was going to tell young founders out there, there's so many tools and resources now that you can almost build your own app, like just vibe coding and all this stuff.
Yep.
AI is going to create the most amount of young millionaires, because you can do a lot. All these tools are at your fingertips for pretty much free. You would have to go hire a dev team originally to do all that. So that's what I'm saying. There's so many free resources out there to just build something as quick and simple as possible, just to get your idea going and show people and start getting feedback. So
Exactly. Yeah, and it's just getting up and trying. That's all it is. It's just getting up and making it happen. Now, before we end this, I want to give you the opportunity. Where can people connect with you? Your LinkedIn or where your website? Give it's the floor is yours.
yeah, what perfect. Well, we have a new website coming, but our current website is NaviSavi, which is NaviSavi app.com. So that's where you can learn more. You can download the app, and that's, like I said, the very simplistic version of what we have out in the market, not the full AI piece and TV and everything that's coming out in
Yeah.
2026. You can start uploading videos and earning immediately today from our current app that's out in the market. And then I'd say LinkedIn is probably the best way to get a hold of me. I am very active on LinkedIn. I try to keep active and updated and check in every so often. After I get done with the conference, I can be a little slow to respond on stuff. But you get 30 new connections. You're like, okay, blah, 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 but I'd love and that's Bunnell. So find me, connect with me on there. Always happy to turn around and help young people and give advice and anything I can do because somebody had to do that to help me get where I'm at. So.
No, that is awesome, man. And I want to say thank you once again for coming on the show and giving insightful insights. And to everybody, I am going to put her LinkedIn on the bottom of the description as well as her website. But once again, thank you so much, Miss Sally. It was an amazing conversation, and I know everyone enjoyed it. Until next time, guys, thank you for tuning in to the Growth Circuit podcast. I hope everyone has a blessed day.